The following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers. This is the TFangy coming to you with what will hopefully be a quick and successful review. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of the deluxe class figures released in Wave 2 of the Transformers Legacy United line. And it is Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Chromia. So Chromia here is a repaint and a retool of the previously released Transformers Legacy animated Prowl figure. And to be honest, even though this is supposed to be based more off of her appearance in the Transformers Cyberverse cartoon, some people have said that rather than being fully accurate to her appearance in Cyberverse, this version of Chromia is a mashup of her appearances in Transformers Cyberverse, Transformers Generation 1, and Transformers IDW, because of the simple fact that even though some parts of her motorcycle alt mode are designed from her appearance in Cyberverse, it's rather than being a true blue update of the Cyberverse version of Chromia, this figure is a mashup of all several prior previous versions of her. And looking at the figure, it's not a bad figure, especially for being a retool of the animated Prowl figure that was previously released. There's an image of her motorcycle mode. You got a close up of her face, and zooming out from her face, there's the box art of her robot mode. And I wanted to bring out the previously two Chug figures that Chromia got from Hasbro. This is the third figure that Chromia has gotten in the overall Transformers Generations line here. The first one was the Thrilling 30 Chromia figure that was released. Wow, I can't believe it was 10 years ago in 2014 that figure was released. Then Chromia got a figure in the Transformers Siege line in 2019 for the Transformers 25th anniversary. And so, if you haven't been collecting action figures of Chromia, you'll see there's a pattern that started with the Generations figure in 2014, where she gets a figure once every 5 years. But in addition to that, every Chug figure of Chromia that's been released has a common theme. They are all repaints and retools of previously released Transformers figures. And to my knowledge, there is no action figure of Chromia out there that is an entirely brand new mold. The only one that comes to mind, which is not based on any iteration of Generation 1 Chromia that was an original mold, was the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen Deluxe Class Chromia figure that was released in 2009. But with that one exception of the Revenge of the Fallen version of Chromia, every other figure of her that exists is an original mold. At least is not an original mold. It's a repaint or a retool of previously figure, at least the ones based off of Generation 1 Chromia in some iteration or another. So yeah, there is no action figure based off of Generation 1 Chromia that is an original mold. Every figure she's gotten has been a repaint and a retool. So you can literally ask the question, when will Generation 1 Chromia get a brand new action figure that's an original mold and not a repaint and a retool? So far, that has never happened, but will it happen someday? Who knows? Time will tell. But at least it's nice for her to get another new figure here. Some Transformers fans, depending on how you ask, Chromia has made it to the top tier of female Autobot Transformers characters that are well known in the Transformers community, and some have argued that when it comes to the female Transformers characters, Chromia is right up there with RC, Alita 1, and also Windblade in being among the most famous female Transformers characters ever created. Chromia got a lot of screen time during the only episode of Transformers Generation 1 that she appeared in, which was the 32nd episode of G1, The Search for Alpha Trion, where she was a member of Alita 1's team of all-female Autobots who tried to help Optimus Prime and the Autobots find Alpha Trion after Optimus Prime got damaged. And Chromia has made quite a few appearances in the Transformers comic books. The Autobot that Chromia was in love with was Ironhide. Whether or not Chromia and Ironhide's romance still exists in more modern Transformers media, I honestly don't know. Unfortunately, if I remember correctly, Ironhide didn't appear in the Transformers Cyberverse cartoon, so Chromia wasn't really seen having any love interests. She was just shown hanging around Cybertron for a while. In more recent Transformers media and the comic books, rather than originally created on Transformers Cybertron like she was in Generation 1. Chromia is one of the Transformers characters who originated from one of Cybertron's colony worlds. The planet she came from was Caminus, which was the same planet that Windblade came from. And that was even mentioned in the episode of Transformers Cyberverse where Chromia and Windblade had exchanged a conversation with each other. So that's a bit of background information on Chromia there. Despite her only getting only a handful of Transformers action figures over the years, a lot of Transformers fans and collectors know who she is. Like if you were to ask a longtime Transformers fan, do you know who Chromia is? And they'll say, oh, I've heard of her. Or even if they can't remember her right off the top of their heads. So yeah, Chromia has surprisingly enjoyed a huge amount of popularity. So coming on here to the back of the box, here's some product photos of her in her robot mode and her alt mode of a motorcycle. Transforms back and forth between both modes in 20 steps. And yeah, she is a repaint and a retool of the Transformers Legacy animated Prowl figure. And looking at the two figures side by side, even though Chromia is still inside her box, it appears that, yes, unfortunately for those wanting Chromia to have a lot more retooled parts to distinguish her from animated Prowl, the only difference mold-wise is her new head sculpt. So get a close-up of it while she's still in the box. So yeah, apart from her new head sculpt, nothing else has changed to distinguish Chromia from Prowl apart from the different paint jobs. She even has Prowl's shuriken stars. Ours for her weapons. It would have been nice if she had gotten at least one laser gun like she had in the comic books or even in the G1 cartoon, but they didn't even retool her hands from Prowl, so the shurikens are the only weapons she can hold in her hands since she doesn't have a standard 5mm fist hole. So without further delay, I've babbled on much longer than I wanted to. Let's get Chromia out of the box and take a close look at her in her robot mode. Alright, so here's Chromia out of the box and in her robot mode. Here's what she looks like holding one of the shurikens. She can't really hold it that well, and I believe Prowl had the same problem of not really being able to hold the shurikens in that greatly, so we'll just put that there. There where it stores as one of the hubcaps for the motorcycle mode. And for being a retool of animated Prowl, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but yeah, Chromia is really nice looking. I really enjoy her paint job, and again, the only retool part she has is her new head sculpt, which, in my opinion, it's a mashup of both her Generation 1 and Cyberverse versions, so the only real distinction Chromia has going between to distinguish her from animated Prowl is her paint job, but I think it's a nice enough paint job that it pulls off really well. I mean, it looks really great, and I've always enjoyed the shade of blue that Chromia has had. So, for a size comparison, here she is next to her mold mate, Legacy Animated Prowl. And yeah, as you can see, they're pretty much identical. Oh, Chromia even has the sirens that Prowl has, unlike Prowl, whose sirens, one's blue and one red, like most police cars and most police bikes. Bikes have. Chromias are just unpainted clear plastic. And I kind of wish they would have made those solid plastic instead and just painted them silver. But at least it's nice enough looking for what it is. I thought it was I guess it was just a optical illusion. I thought Chromia's wheels were going to be made out of clear plastic because the way they reflect in the photos Hasbro took of the prototype figure here on the box, the way the light reflects on it, I thought it was clear blue plastic, but no, it's solid blue plastic, so at least there's longevity with the wheels going on. The parts of Chromia that are made out of clear plastic are the exact same ones on Prowl. It's primarily the sirens for the bike mode, and the chest piece which becomes the windshield for the motorcycle. That's made out of clear plastic as well. And the reason why it looks different if you were to give it a passing glance is because Chromia has more paint on her chest than Prowl does, so it creates an optical illusion that it's a different chest sculpt, but it is not. It is the exact same. Aim the headlights. It's helped to give it away. Also, it's hard to tell because of the light reflecting through my bedroom window, but you can see them right there. Here on Prowl, Prowl has 8 rivet bolts sculpted onto the frame of the windshield to show that it was bolted onto the chassis of the motorcycle. And right here you can see Chromia has the same 8 bolts. It's on her. So yeah, the additional paint around Chromia's Autobot logo there on her chest, it tries to create an optical illusion that she has a new chest, but she does not. So because Chromia is by all distinction now mold-mates with animated Prowl, one can make the joke that this is the Transformers animated version of Chromia and that she shared the same body design as Prowl, which is, I believe, an incorrect misnomer because I believe Chromia did appear in the Transformers animated cartoon on one occasion, but it is an interesting idea nonetheless. As I was going to try and bring out the other Chromia figures that were released in the past, the previously mentioned Thrilling 30 and Siege Chromia figures, but those figures, just like the Sirens here on Chromia, the previous action figures of Chromia, the Chug figures at least, have crystal clear plastic parts, and for the Siege version of Chromia, there's a lot of reports of her windshield breaking and snapping off because the parts of those there were sections of those clear plastic parts that were involved with the transformation. Not as much of an extension here on Legacy Chromia, where you have to flip the robot mode chest around, but pretty close. So, unfortunately, Chromia's Chug figures, the ones that released in the past, have proven to be fragile due to the clear plastic parts. Same thing with the Thrilling 30 Chromia. The support that connects the front wheel of the motorcycle to her alt mode is made entirely out of crystal clear plastic, and the Thrilling 30 Chromia figure that was released in the Generations Thrilling 30 line, that figure was a retool of the Transformers Prime RID-ERC figure, but for me personally, all things considered, I still think this is a decent Chromia action figure, and it just might replace my Siege Chromia in being my personal favorite action figure of her in my collection now. So, before I start babbling on again like a broken record, let's hurry up and get Chromia transformed into her alt mode, do one last comparison with Prowl, and we will wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is Chromia transformed into her alt mode of a motorcycle, and yeah, it's once again, because of the only difference between her and Prowl is the head sculpt. It's an all light blue version of animated Prowl, but I think it works for Chromia. She does have the exact same kickstand right here, and based on the robot mode parts along with the screws right here, it's evened out on both sides. So unfortunately, as far as which side is the quote-unquote side to display when she's in bike mode, it's your personal preference which side you think is the better side. So moving the kickstand up, just like Prowl, the wheels do have the potential to spin freely around, but even if you remove the it isn't until you remove the shuriken stars and you expose the inner wheel right there that they spin. And quite freely, with the shuriken stars attached, the blades tend to spin and get in the way of stuff, as you can see right there. So it is a bit of a pain that the wheels spin better when the shurikens are removed. But other than that minor nitpick, I still enjoy having this figure in my collection. And for one last size comparison, here's Cyberverse Chromia next to Legacy Animated Prowl. And as far as which of these figures I prefer, unfortunately, even though the animated version of Prowl, even though it's a design that's not at all like his Generation 1 version, I still enjoy it. So as far as which figure is the better figure, Prowl or Chromia, you know, it's all your own, it's your choice to decide which one you like. I personally don't mind both of them. I actually enjoy both of them quite well. But yeah, all around, pretty fantastic looking motorcycles. And just like on Prowl, despite her new head sculpt, Chromia does have on the back of her head the same aim dashboard or where you've got the speedometer and the fuel gauge showing how fast you're going and how much gasoline you still have in the fuel tank. And they're all pointing, and they're both pointing in the same direction, so it's almost as though the backs of their heads are the same, even though they're different. So that's pretty funny to see that they gave Chromia the same dashboard as that Prowl has. So for the final question of the review, do I recommend getting the Transformers Legacy United Cyberverse Chromia figure and adding her to your collection? For me personally, yes, I do highly recommend getting this figure because, as I said, Chromia has got action figures of Chromia that have been released have been far few. You can still count using the fingers on your hands how many Chug style figures Chromia has gotten. This, I believe, is only the third Chug style figure of her that's been released by Hasbro. Oh, if there are any other action figures of Chromia out there, they're based on her appearance in the Revenge of the Fallen movie, and they aren't based on entirely off of her Generation 1 figure. And I can't even remember off the top of my head if Chromia actually got a figure in the Transformers Cyberverse line of action figures. But this figure still is a pretty great looking figure for her, or in my opinion. So thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been the TFan Geek, and until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.